Time is 9 o'clock. I call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as written.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed nay. Carried. Minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion made.
Second.
Seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion is carried. Public comment period. Anyone wish to address the board?
Donna Buckby, Yucatan Township. Last week, the question was asked, what could Rick Frank do to reinstate trust in the county governance? And I have a suggestion, and one thing is you could complete the EAW on the Erickson mine. Rick implied that that had been set aside because it was no longer a part of Minnesota Sands. However, I was one of the people who worked on that EAW, and it had nothing to do with the connection of the Erickson mine to Minnesota Sands. We didn't even know about Minnesota Sands at that time. There was an EIS, environmental impact study, required by the state of Minnesota for the 10 or so proposed mines that were under Minnesota Sands, and the Erickson mine was part of that at that time. But when Rick Frick testified and assured us that the Erickson mine was kind of jettisoned from the Minnesota Sands project, then that is true, that it was no longer, EIS was no longer required for the Erickson mine for the Minnesota Sands project. But when we wrote the environmental assessment worksheet, and that was approved by the state of Minnesota, that had nothing to do with Minnesota Sands. That was only for the Erickson mine. We didn't even know about Minnesota Sands at that time. The state of Minnesota approved that petition for an EAW on the Erickson mine, and a year ago they told the county that before the Erickson mine could be approved and permitted, you had to do the EAW. You can go online and watch that video of that hearing. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency ordered the county, Houston County, to complete the EAW on the Erickson mine. So that's, Rick was here last week saying that that was set aside, no longer needed to be done. That is not true. So you want to recreate trust by the people in the county, complete that EAW on the Erickson mine. And I'll just say this, I consider myself a pretty law-abiding person. And I respect other people who are law-abiding, and I don't understand why this county keeps tossing that whole concept aside when it comes to the malfeasance and the nonfeasance on the part of your staff.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bruce Kimiko from Caledonia. Speaking of EAW, on the consent agenda regarding the historic county jail, it's equally yoked to the Houston County Historical Courthouse. It's kind of like one unit. If the county wishes to demolish the property of the historic jail, it needs to go through an EAW process. This process involves the Environmental Quality Board. Following this process, it will be decided whether an EIS is required. The Houston County Courthouse and Jail are listed together as one listing on the National Registry. Demolishing the jail could jeopardize the status of the courthouse on the National Register. If removed from the National Register, it would no longer qualify for legacy funds or capital bond dollars. I would caution you to seriously think about getting rid of that over there. I kind of like it.
Brian Van Gort. I would like to call Bo Pucky on the appalling environmental services presentation last week. The entire hour-and-a-half display was an attempt to avoid the real issue. That being that all of the mines, or nearly all of the mines in this county, are out of compliance and have been for 17 years or more. It is not a complex concept to enforce an ordinance. The will is what is lacking. He did correctly point out, however, that enforcement is the responsibility of the Planning and Zoning Administrator, this county board, the county sheriff, and the county attorney. Now, I know none of you can plead ignorance because we have repeatedly brought these issues to your attention. The letter that is being sent out to the mine owners is worse than doing nothing. It encourages the continuation of non-conforming uses in direct opposition to the land use ordinance. It allows for natural reclamation. Really. There are no teeth and no deadline. If I did 2 mines a day, which would be a half-time job for one of the 4 employees in that office, this entire process would be done in 3 months. Remember, it's already been pending for 17 years. Then there's the ridiculous statement by the county attorney that rights cannot be extinguished through inaction. This happens every day and he knows it. If I fail to renew my license, fail to get continuing education credits, fail to submit to a background check every 2 years, I lose the right to practice veterinary medicine. By the way, they don't send me a self-addressed stamped envelope to get the job done. These people have been out of compliance for 17 years and longer in many cases. Saying at some point, maybe some action could be taken is not enforcement. Treat these mine owners like adults. They have 2 options if they're out of compliance, and they all are. Get a CUP or terminate and reclaim. We're not buying what you're selling. What does it take to embarrass you folks?
Michael Fields, Winnebago Township. Rick Frank's presentation last week was little more than a cynical infomercial, insulting to both the public he was charged to reassure and to the board that gave him that charge. He spoke for 74 minutes and managed to say absolutely nothing about what his department is doing to correct the alarming deficiencies brought to light by some disturbing articles appearing in newspapers across the country. It's obvious he has no plan to bring non-conforming mines into compliance with county and state law. And these represent more than 90% of the mines and quarries in this county. Nor did he advance any changes in protocol that would alter the arbitrary and capricious interpretation of the zoning ordinance his department is now famous for. You commissioners have known for at least 2 years that Rick's theory of what he calls grandfathered or registered mines is a complete fiction. On February 12, 2013, you sat in a room for several hours listening to your well-paid land use attorney explain that no mine is exempt from regulation or the fees and taxes that go along with the privilege, not right, the privilege of mining in Houston County. Watch it again for yourselves. There's a video on the SandpointTimes.com website called 2/12/13 Legal Review. This part starts a little over 30 minutes in. Rick was there too. What part of not correct do you suppose he didn't understand? Also, asked repeatedly by Commissioner Zamiewski last week how he intends to regain the public's trust, Rick bobbed and weaved before falling back on what he called a process being in place. Yeah, I know about that process. I was victimized by it, as was Brian here too. And Rick's infomercial did absolutely nothing but promise more of the same. Thank you for your time.
Does anyone else wish to address the board? If not, we'll proceed with the meeting. Brian.
Commissioners. I was on the agenda last week for approval of quotes for stockpile aggregate and equipment rental rates. At that point, I hadn't had a chance to review it. I have reviewed it now over this past week and would recommend approval of all of the numbers submitted for both aggregate stockpiles and equipment rental. What this allows is for us to go to the closest quarry, assuming that rock was at the bottom or near the bottom, to get rock. If they don't have it available, then you can go to the next farther quarry, assuming that the price is good, and look at the cost of hauling along with the cost of aggregate. And then equipment rental the same way. When we call up one contractor, if they don't have the equipment available, we can call up another one and get it, even if it might not be the cheapest, just based on availability. So something we do every year is we approve all of the numbers submitted.
Doesn't commit us to anything other than choices.
Yeah, and it's also good to have in case we have another FEMA disaster, another flood. We can call up, whatever contractor we want. We have rates for it.
Mhm.
Give those numbers to FEMA and to the state, and they know what numbers we have right off the bat.
Questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the aggregate numbers, bids.
Motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. The motion is carried.
Then we're going to get one for equipment rental as well.
Pardon?
We're going to need the approval on the equipment rental.
All separate.
Motion to approve the rental rates, is that what it? Yeah.
Equipment rental rates, yeah. Motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion?
Some of the things you didn't get a bid on, what are you gonna do with that?
Hopefully we don't need those items. If we do, then we need to start calling around or getting additional quotes at that time.
Okay.
Further discussion? Questions? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Motion is carried.
Okay. And the next item I have is approval of contract CP 2015-03, which is aggregate shouldering bid bids. We had the bid opening yesterday. We had one bid. The bid was from Bruning Rock Products. Unit price of $18. 97.9 cents per ton. Based on the quantity that we're estimating, it would come out to a total of $177,814.25. That is 11.44% over our estimates. So, I guess one bidder, we need to do this. I'm going to recommend approval of aggregate shouldering at the price provided.
Who else around does that?
Are you not signing these?
Bruning is the one that's done it for us most years recently. Any of the aggregate companies can provide bids, just most of them choose not to. And
Has this happened before, or we just had the one bid on shouldering?
Yes.
It has happened before, okay. People aren't big on it, I guess.
Motion to approve the project bid.
Motion is made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The motion is carried.
thank you. Actually, one more thing. Just so you're aware, County 3 is getting paved today, that part by the bridge down by Brownsville. So after you can go that way, there's no gravel.
Oh, good.
Human Services update. Linda? Good morning.
We're running a little early, which is good.
Fine.
We would
like to introduce our staff though, but a couple of them, oh, there, they just got here. Great. All right. Well, well, not enough chairs, but that's okay. Well, yeah, it's fine to just stand. Yeah, so we have 3 new staff we would like to introduce. And, well, should we do social work side first? Sure. Okay, this is Kelly Rowland. She is our case aide right now for the social workers. I don't remember which day you started, but we've had the 11th. Oh, good, glad you remember. And then here is Haley Johnson. Haley's our new children's mental health social worker. And what day did you start, Haley? Friday, yeah. So she's been
Welcome.
This is her 3rd day.
Is it going well so far?
Yeah, everything's good so far. Well, with both of them, yeah. And
And then this is Joanne Curley. She is the financial assistance case aide that's at the front desk. And this is her 3rd week. Yes. So, yeah.
Glad to meet you. Welcome
Happy to
aboard.
have you guys
Thank
here.
you. Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you.
Good.
Do you have any
Thank you.
questions?
Not that I can think of.
We just love seeing smiling faces.
Yeah, so far so good. So that's a fun day. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah. That way we have a name with a face. So kind of a nice thing to do.
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, should I go first? I will. Okay. One thing I should tell you, and I think a couple of you maybe know, we did get our child-friendly grant approved on April 30th. That was at our local collaborative time study meeting. So they gave us $12,500 to go buy new furniture, new video equipment, that kind of thing. And my grant estimate was it would be a little bit more, but I don't know. We're going to find out. Since then, I'm sure some of the prices have changed, and we've tweaked our video equipment bid a little bit, so I'm waiting to hear back from some of those places. But it's really very, very needed. Our equipment and our furniture is so old, it's just,
Will it
it's worn
stay in
out.
the same area,
Yep.
same room it is?
Yep, it will stay in the same room, just because I do know there's some existing wiring and that kind of thing, and it's close to where our social workers are, so they can actually work at their desks and watch on a video camera while families have visits. And so, yeah, I'm excited. That's really a good thing, and we'll get to that, and we'll make sure it's nice. Other than that, the main thing I wanted to talk about, is the House and Senate versions of what's happened at the state legislature, and I understand it passed real late last night. I know some of the details. I don't know all of them, and it's kind of hard to read through all those pages, but my organization, my Minnesota Association of Social Service Administrators, really sends out nice summaries. So I'm kind of waiting for the darn summaries. But when they come, and then we'll know more. Probably the biggest thing that they did was they established DHS. They established and required DHS to set up a child fatality and near fatality review team. And with that, they will review all the processes our social workers take care of, and they will conduct on-site reviews, all that kind of stuff, which is really good. The state of Minnesota has not gotten very good press for their child protection, although I will say ours just works so hard and they run their tails off. And actually, last year one of the Star Tribune articles did explain how Houston County was #1 in the state for screening in child protection reports. So that's really a good thing, because they also gave us, or they will be giving us, some money, and they are basing one of those things. One of the percentages of that is based on the number of screened-in reports a county has. So ours have been on the right track for a long time, and I think that's really great. It's very well established, and we have multi-team intake assessments, that kind of thing, and they've also been recommending that. It surprises me the number of counties that do not, especially larger counties, just keep it all within child protection. And ours, though, we have like a disability services worker, a children's mental health, adult mental health. We have all our disciplines looking at it. And the nice thing, what that does for our county is it also makes some cross-training. So, you know, we have a little backup that way. The minimum, the Senate, and it's both in the Senate and the House version, and now I guess it needs the governor's signature, but it was also in his supplemental budget. The minimum we will receive, minimum allocation per county is $75,000. The strings attached to that are that, well, I'm going to say in both versions, it must be, the funds must be used to increase staff and expand services. It cannot be used to supplant existing current county expenditures. But I can tell you right now, there was a time we had 4 child protection workers and we had 2 case aides working in child protection. We currently have 3 child protection workers and we have now, thankfully, we have 1 case aide. So the staff has been cut tremendously over the years, and I know that was done in order to save money at the time and keep the budgets low. But I will say we're just fortunate we have the staff we have because, and I should do the math on it, I haven't yet, but the amount of comp and overtime that occurs, we darn near could hire another staff anyway. Plus, we're burning out our employees. It's really very hard on staff. So this $75,000, if we want to accept it, we do need to hire more staff, which in the long run will help our help the little kids in the county. It will help our staff not be burned out, not say I can't keep doing this. Will also help a little bit with the county's liability, which is always there. We do make a mistake, and you know yourself, if you spend too much time or not enough time, or you don't have the time to do justice to something, you can mess up. So it happens to any county. But anyway, I'm really happy about the $75,000. It's just sort of the beginning, and there's a lot of criteria. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because we'll get the details later, and we'll get a nice summary, and not my scribbly notes from last night. So that's a good thing. The other thing that I emailed the community services director from Olmsted County this morning because he was on the children's committee and still is the children's committee that made all of the recommendations of what needs to change at the state level and at the county level for child protection. It was in the recommendations to actually limit the amount of, limit the number of employees who would fall under one supervisor. I don't know if that went in or not, but the committee's recommendation was 8 social workers per supervisor. So I guess we'll just see. I've held off doing some analysis of whether or not lead workers and all of that. And actually I was really very fine with lead workers, but it's kind of like, let's see what the state legislature is telling us to do before we spend a lot of time spinning our wheels on something else. But I do know that the one supervisor we would have would need some sort of help. I'm fine with a lead or a whatever, but we'll look at that. But that's coming down the road, and then we'll have to see. I mean, we know right now we're going to get $75,000, but we do not know if that's exactly what we're going to get. We may get more. I don't know. We're not the smallest of counties. We're small, but anyway. So I'm excited about that. I really want to see the details, but I wanted you up on that, and I think that would be about it. That's all I have for today.
And I just wanted to update a little bit. There's a lot going on in legislation, but with my programs, a lot of it the state needs to work out. We did bulletins. We find out what we can and can't do. So I am going to start tracking that. But we've got new workers, so we're spending a lot of time on training in my unit when people move through and we have positions open. So people are at training, so we're running a little short staff. So that's where my time's been going. But I did just want to update a little bit on case counts and case numbers because we did add staff to support MNsure almost 2 years ago now. And I just so that you know where things are at and just to support those decisions. But we're currently, in our MNsure system, we have 744 cases that, between two workers, one of our newest financial workers was supposed to work more in Maxis, the old system, but she's probably spending 90% of her time in MNsure, so we do have two workers, but we do have 744 cases currently that are our financial responsibility within the MNsure system. On Maxis, which is the legacy system, so there's the cash, the food, the old healthcare, we have 1,157 cases. So that's a total of 1,943. So we're about 242 per worker, which is, it's okay. It's where we're supposed to be. So MNsure just has been, as we've said, proven to be a lot bigger issue. There's a lot of things that are going on. The state made an error and put the county address for all of the renewals that should have gone to the state. So we're fielding those and having to send them back up to the state. We could have made the decision to hold them and process them here, but we decided we weren't going to do that, so we're sending all of that back. But like I said, I just wanted to, kind of update you where things were at. As we move forward, we see, it's hard to track because we are in two systems, so I just wanted to make sure I updated on that. On the child support side, there are a lot of little language changes within the legislation right now, and sometimes the littlest language changes can have the biggest impact. So again, just kind of tracking, waiting to see what comes through. But when we look at child support, we've seen our caseload decrease, but that's a direct it's directly related to MNsure because we don't have the interface yet. We just found out that it has now become a project within MNsure. They do have a project manager, but we still don't know what that's going to bring. We increased by 25 cases last month in MNsure, so there, when you look at it, it's hard to tell how many of those are public assistance cases that the child support unit would have to touch and work. But when you look at the potential to have even 10 new cases a month within child support, plus having to do all the new referrals as we move forward, we're just really watching it, and we aren't getting numbers to know how many potential cases we have. And that was the nice thing on the financial side. MNsure and the state were really good about saying, this is what you can anticipate so we can make some really good decisions. So I know it does cause anxiety among staff. The unknown does that, but just trying to keep our fingers and keep on top of that. So a lot of little stuff going on, but we're just trying to get new staff up and running, so it's really what we're doing right now. So,
Thank you. They're busy.
Questions, comments?
I think you're doing a very good job. It's very overwhelming a little bit.
It is, and that's, I think, right now we're spending a lot of time keeping staff moving forward. When you have when you're short-staffed and you're running high where they're at. I had talked in committee about the MNsure workers where we are so limited with what we can do and the changes we can make. There's documents that they have, and with our EDMS system, which is awesome, you see that number of I have 50 documents sitting and waiting for me. A lot of them they don't have the means to touch yet because we don't have the workarounds in place. So it's really trying to gauge and strategize and prioritize. We need to get the new applications. We need to work with what we can. We know all that other work is out there, so we just it's a lot of keeping staff up and acknowledging how busy they are and all the changes that are going on.
Are things improving with MNsure? Not so much. EDMS getting better?
EDMS is good.
Yeah.
We've had gremlins, but that's
Yeah.
working well. There are some good things with MNsure. There's just a lot of bad. There was the hub hadn't been working during the renewal process, so they've found there's cases that didn't bounce off the hub like they should have, so they're having to go back and redo some of the automatic renewals that happened. Notices, like I said, they put the wrong addresses on them, so where the counties are getting the paperwork. The amount of tracking that we have to do, because we can't make a lot of changes, And even as we move through, we had a situation where people start jobs, they stop jobs, they have insurance, they don't. We had a situation where somebody had stopped a job that had insurance and they started a new job that had other insurance, and there were no directions on what to do to end the old insurance to put the new in. And it's not, you would think that, well, that's easy, you put an end date in and you move forward, but it doesn't work that way. You either have to enter a change by the date the change occurred, by the end date, or when it was reported, and if you don't put the right dates in, it doesn't work. And then you don't get your interface. With some other programs, if you have other health insurance, you're not eligible. So like with Minnesota Care and some of the different programs that are out there, having employer insurance is a barrier. Well, if you don't do that right, people can get the wrong eligibility. So it's improving. We can close some cases now.
It's encouraging.
So it's improving, but
How long have we been working on it?
yep. We have. But the workarounds are timely. There's no quick fix, and if you miss a step or you don't put one of the dates in correctly, we're on the phone with the state trying to clean it up, push the work through, or push it through. So it's what we have. So we work with what we
You're
have.
happy with it.
So I hope.
And
I'd like
every
to not
county
talk
is-
about Minsure. So, but we're getting there. So
And every county is going through the same thing.
it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
It's
So Misery has company there, huh?
there's lots.
Yeah, I don't think we're unique. They've not well, every county did, I think, darn near add some staff initially, but then they've had to pull other staff, just like we have had to do. Too bad.
And I still think we made a good decision having just a few people work in it. To try and learn a system that you have to, it's all workarounds, to do that every day is just too hard, especially when you have to work everything else along with it, so
Right.
we're doing okay.
Okay.
Thank
you. Good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Public Health, Mary, Rochelle.
Good morning.
Just got a couple quick things for you today. First of all, Tess isn't here today, so I'm just bringing forward our staffing request to hire our student intern. We have completed our interviews. We had great applicants. We had great, 8 applicants, student interns for our paid internship this summer. So we ended up with offering the position to Christina Smith. It's Christina with a C. And she's a Viterbo student. She's entering her senior year at Viterbo. And we can hire her under the 67-day provision, the temporary employee through this summer provision. I believe it's $11.85 an hour is kind of what we be able to hire her at. I think she'll be a great asset. She'll have great energy. I think she'll be real motivated to just take her assignments and run with it. So we're pleased to be able to offer that recommendation to you.
So you need a motion to
We do.
approve her? I'll make a motion to approve Christina Smith as a summer intern for public health.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. The motion is carried.
I'll do
Mary,
that after.
you said you had 8 applicants? Christina with a K?
Christina with a C.
Okay, and then I have our TZD grant, or Towards Zero Death grant that we have. Usually every year we reapply for that. It's from the Office of Traffic Safety, so it's to deal with traffic safety related issues. We partner with law enforcement agencies in the county, and so this is just a resolution kind of authorizing that grant agreement. We're going through the application process right now. Those are due May 29th, which I think is next Friday. So I'm continuing to work on that. So we usually apply for, I think it's right around the range of $11,000 is what we usually apply for and get. It's, again, fairly prescriptive on what we can do. It has to do with some traffic safety data and areas for our county that are high with traffic crashes or fatalities or serious injuries. Those are the areas that they would like us to address in our grant, so.
You partnered with Fillmore County too on this?
Yeah, well, our coalition, yes, our coalition is a
Okay.
partnership coalition. They have a separate grant application than Houston County does, but our coalition is cooperative because our law enforcement agencies partner together too with various waves that are
Yeah.
done, so.
I've been to the meetings, they're good.
Yeah, thank you. So we would just, I think, need a motion to approve that, and then Shar, do you have?
I do.
Do we
Okay.
need a resolution or
Yes.
a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the TZD grant.
Motion made, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. The motion is carried.
The only other thing that I have, if I can put in just a quick little plug, again, for our upcoming June 9th community presentation on sex trafficking, no longer a big city issue. I think I sent out the flyers, but if I can encourage you to take a couple of these and put them in your respective districts, or if you're going to meetings later, that you can kind of help promote this event. We really feel like it's, the information is kind of long overdue, and we really need to get our schools and our mental health and our social services, and all of our agencies come together to really hear what the new legislation is with regards to the safe harbor law, as well as no wrong door, kind of the culture around this type of victimization, and it's really critical. You know, we can't pretend like it's not here. So anyway, I'm just going to pass these out to our board and encourage you to take them to your meetings. And again, this is going to be hosted by several county departments.
And have
county
you
attorney.
connected with DNR too? DNR?
The DNR.
I think it, just from the ones that I've gone to, I think it would be good to have the DNR have an understanding of what's going on.
Sure. Absolutely. We can make some connections there, but we are trying to get this information out. Each of our other department heads that are involved, the county attorney, the victim services, the sheriffs, human services have all been asked to kind of forward these flyers to their respective entities. And so we are having it at the Four Seasons. The public is certainly invited to attend either of those sessions. We have a 200 capacity there, and we really hope it'd be great to see them packed, both sessions packed. We'll have some light refreshments for people. I think it'll be a great day.
Yeah, I think
Have
the
you
more
notified
everybody.
the schools?
Yep.
So I don't need to give it to the school.
Yeah, you don't have to take one to the school. Anywhere else, though, you can take them. Thank you.
Your soil,
you.
your one watershed.
Yeah.
I'll take the workforce development and EMS.
Queued up?
You guys are.
Next, yeah, Sam and Deb.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I'd like to present Deb Ray as a guest of the EDA to talk about the Preservation Alliance of Minnesota, as well as some upcoming events in Caledonia.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to address you this morning. I did have more people coming, but they were going to come at 10, so I think I really had a schedule.
Yeah.
Do you want to wait?
You want to
for him?
wait? You want to wait, Deb?
Well,
Mark
they
is
were-
here, and we could go ahead with him first.
Sure, we could do that. They weren't going to say anything, but
Oh, okay.
Oh.
they
It's up
just
to
going
you.
to support me. So,
Right.
I'll go ahead. We're a group of citizens that are interested in the history of the county and interested in preserving the history of the county. And as Sam mentioned, at the last county EDA meeting, we had a person from Preservation Alliance of Minnesota. Her name is Erin Dorbin. Preservation Alliance of Minnesota works to preserve, protect, and promote old buildings and places in Minnesota. And they've kind of, been more in the metro area. But last year, a new position started. They're trying to reach the rest of the state, and Erin's position started in the fall of 2014. So she's the Southeast coordinator for the Preservation Alliance of Minnesota group. And they have a lot of different programs available, including classes and help with grant writing and things like that. So I think they'd be a good ally for us. But anyway, on moving then to an activity that's coming up on Saturday, June 20th, the Caledonia Community Celebrations Committee is having an event in downtown Caledonia. They're going to be blocking off a couple of the streets. They'll have things like a car show, a band, chip and cue, children's activities. The chamber is working with them to promote businesses with Crazy Days on Kingston. And they're also going to be running an historic walking tour downtown Caledonia. And for that, we're having adults and students portraying business people from the era of 1910 in Caledonia. So it's kind of a fun project for old and young. But the tours will start at the gazebo behind the auditorium. They'll go through downtown and they'll end at our historic jail here. And at the jail, Preservation Alliance is planning to be there for kind of a Q&A for the public to get the public's input as to some ideas for the use of the jail, and answer questions on what their organization can do. The tours are at 1, 2:30, and 4. However, you do not have to take part in the walking tour to be at the jail, because the jail will just be open all afternoon for questions. So we wanted to take this time to officially invite the commissioners to come to any or all of the activities, but specifically for the our historic jail, and come and listen to ideas and maybe help come up with some solutions. Because ultimately, our goal is to save the jail. It's a beautiful building in our strip mall, throwaway society. It's truly unique. And if we can find a way for reuse through a county government purpose, through educational purpose, through a tourism purpose, all of those greatly benefit our county. And so we want to work with you in finding a solution. And what a great legacy for you guys to leave to future generations who are beginning to appreciate this history more and more and more. I really believe that. So hopefully we can find some solution to save the jail. Well, if you have any questions or...
June 20th, you said?
June 20th, Saturday afternoon, most activities will happen. So.
Deb, on kind of the same subject, we just got some emails about Smith having funding for doing murals, and I didn't know if that was anything that Caledonia had thought about doing anywhere, but they have grants to get the paint to get murals done.
Yes, I do know about them.
Okay,
I think,
all right.
Norm Snodgrass said, I remember telling him about it, that because he has a mural on the side of his building. I don't know if he's moved forward with that, but yes, there are. That's just the thing. There are so many things that you can access,
Right.
but if you don't know about
Right,
them,
that's why I thought
yeah.
I'd just bring it up since you were
And,
here, and I know that driving around different towns, you see so many murals now that really bring a lot into a town, too.
Sure. Well, and that's where I'm really hopeful with the Preservation Alliance, that they can help us. You know,
Mhm.
they have contacts at the state level, and so they know a lot of programs, and are able maybe to help us.
I think Erin's really a good connection, too.
Yes, she's a young girl, and she's very typical, I think, of that age. I have kids that age, and as you know, they're working on the Wire Booster downtown, and they're just interested in these old buildings, the history behind it, the people behind it, and I really think that it's a unique thing, this building, especially in the courthouse, that we can save them if we can, because there's not going to be other buildings like that built in Houston County with our native limestone and things like that. So that's what our goal is.
Thank you.
Good, we'll have to plan on being there.
Questions, comments?
No, sounds good, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, Deb.
I made a note to be there.
Yeah, okay.
Sheriff England.
Thank you. I just have one item that that can go pretty quickly, I guess. What we're seeking is approval to hire 2 additional 67-day temps for the water patrol only. We've run into kind of a scheduling crunch with the current ones we have now. I think there's 4. Some of it is ran into, we started scheduling the water patrol for primarily weekends, where previously they had done a lot of weeknight water patrol, and that hasn't fit into the 67-day temp schedule real well. And then we have this weekend coming up where a deputy was going to cover water patrol for us for Memorial Day weekend. He's been placed on light duty from an injury, so now he's no longer available to work this weekend. So we're in kind of a crunch to get somebody scheduled for Memorial Day weekend. The 2 that we had in mind are Ben Standall and Zach Sweatberg. They won't be utilized a whole lot other than to fill in when we have scheduled issues. They both are licensed peace officers, and they both have boating experience. And they would fit in the same category as the rest of the 67-day temps as far as benefits and pay.
Mm-hmm. So the boat patrol is only going to be on weekends?
Primarily.
Okay.
That's when we need to be out there. On Tuesday night, we're going to run across a few fishermen, and that's it.
Okay.
And you need them for Memorial Weekend, I would think that's your busy time.
Yep. So I guess I'd be looking for a motion to approve the hire of the 2 67-day temps.
Motion to approve the hiring of 2 67-day patrol, Ben Standall and Zach Swedberg.
Motion is made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. That motion is carried.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners.
Consent agenda.
So, everything looks good. I was just curious, number 1. What, did we, I know we got some information back on jail, but were we going to have them come down or try and schedule that to come in and talk to the board?
Sure can, if you want to.
Well, I guess it's up to the rest of the board. I guess I was kind of under the impression we're going to have them come down and
I think
answer
it'd
some
be,
questions.
we were going to have talked about it. If we can get somebody to come down
I would be happy
and
to
address us
schedule
on
somebody.
Yeah.
the ins and outs and so forth.
Yeah, we got the information from Sharp. It'd be nice to hear it from them step by
Ask
step.
some other questions or something.
And then we have questions for them.
Yeah.
How I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion is made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Unfinished business, Highway Department. Moving forward, we're putting together a citizen committee. 3 so far. Want to add, I guess, maybe a couple more people to it.
And then just bring that up later? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get some confirmed people.
Dana, were you able to do any research on that property in Spring Grove?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm supposed
maybe.
to talk to Brian.
Or even meet with Steve and you and Brian or something, get some information, how much it costs and, as an option,
Talk, who do you want us to talk to?
whoever's selling it,
The realtor?
I suppose.
I can do that.
And, yeah, see what we would need to invest in it if we did go that route.
I'll do that.
Sounds good. I was gonna do it, but that's your area of expertise.
Okay.
Anything more? Okay, and I think we covered the jail. Commissioner reports. Judy, would you start?
Yep. I had a CJC meeting last week on Wednesday. Just different things about procedures and stuff is what we deal with over there at that meeting. And I don't think I had anything else.
Okay. Justin?
No formal meeting. Been in touch. It was just kind of interesting. I was in touch with a gentleman over by, kind of by the Black River Falls area. I think it's Jackson County, I want to say, something like that. And supposedly their townships over there got together and had a meeting. and their meeting and discussion was on Houston County, and it was on basically what Houston County's done in with the whole frac sand stuff. But I just thought it was very interesting that they chose to bring in 2 attorneys from the big oil companies to talk about Houston County's position on frac sand, and I asked them if they had talked to anybody from Houston County, and they said no. So I thought it was a little odd that
Yeah, for sure.
they're talking about what we're doing without any knowledge of what we're doing. So anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting. But anyway, yeah, so I guess that was taking place. But and I asked them, I said, well, do you want somebody from Houston County to be there? And they said, no. I said, okay, so you're going to talk about us, but you don't want us there. Okay, whatever. So anyway, that was going on. But other than that, pretty quiet.
Good.
I did not have any additional meetings this week.
Dana?
I didn't have any meetings this week either.
And nor did I. I did have a few visits with some people, but no formal meetings. So that was quick and easy. Can I have a motion to approve claims, human services, and license center disbursements?
Real quick, I got a question. This just doesn't quite make sense, or maybe it's just how it's worded. Aluminum redemption fee of $549. Are they saying that we owe somebody to give them our aluminum for $549?
I think we're replenishing the fund.
Okay, that's
Is that
money
your
coming in?
claims?
Yeah, I got the
Yeah,
number.
that's replenishing the fund.
Okay, so that was money we got
pay
in.
out as people burn cans in.
People
and
burn
we
cans
replenish
in.
our petty cash fund.
Okay, because I
Goes
was
back
thinking,
in.
are we really, we're paying somebody
No.
to take our
No,
aluminum?
no.
Okay. All right, got it.
You were going to go into business?
Yeah, I'll take it for
I'll take your
$40. Yeah. With that being said, I'll move to approve the claims, human services, and license center disbursements.
Motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion?
I like having them ahead of time to review. Really works out good. Right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's carried. And then we have the one tax abatement to approve.
Is this the one that we talked about last week that was?
It was on the agenda last week, but then
We
when I got
need-
it from the assessor, I found something that I thought they better address, and they recalculated the numbers, and we're now ready to approve it.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the abatement.
Motion made. Is there a second?
A second.
Further discussion?
You know about the school district now?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. That motion is carried. Is there any further business to come before this meeting? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made. Is there a
Second it.
second? Second is made. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. We are adjourned.